Good though.
and monkeypox uh, prevention.
Monkeypox prevention. All right, let me put the little. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cantina Mex Football Podcast, episode 336. We finally have two finalists, Atlas and Pachuca. And we're going to be talking about the semifinals that led up to this final and our predictions. And also some coach movements inside of Liga MX and much, much more. Joining me tonight, we are on Twitter Spaces, so feel free to hop in on the conversation. And we're also broadcasting live on YouTube if you want to send us a chat. But before I go any further, let me welcome Joel to the podcast. Joel, how we doing?
Doing good, man. Although I did miss that Tigres game, so I can't.
Oh, man, I missed that game too. And what a game it was. We had Atlas midweek handle business at home and had a 3-0 victory in front of their home crowd. And everybody was talking shit about Gignac. Hey, where is he? He didn't show up. You know, he's overrated. He's French. And in the second leg, Quiñones scored a fourth goal. And basically put the nail in the coffin right there at the 45th minute. And I don't know what kind of speech Piojo had at halftime. I don't know if he got on a step ladder and talked down on his players or whatever. Whatever he needed to do. Maybe they did a line of coke or something. But in that second half, they were coming out like demon time. André Pierre Gignac just put the team on his back, scored a hat trick, and Atlas were starting to cave in. Tigres scored a fourth goal with 9 minutes left, and the whole place the roof it was absolutely insane. But unfortunately, at the very last minute, a questionable penalty kick call, and Aldo Rocha just a dagger to the heart of Tigres and the fan base. And in a anti-dramatic way, Atlas will be defending their title and having an opportunity to be a bicampeón. It's only ever happened twice in the history
Back
of
to
Liga
back.
MX. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the history of torneos cortos.
Yeah, torneos cortos, that's right.
Yeah, man. We did talk about two things happening in the last pod. One was Gignac being on fire, and the second one that Piojo's teams, you know, that they go down with a fight, because that 3-0 just looked, you know, it did not seem fitting of his teams, and yeah, they almost pulled it off.
They almost pulled it off now. Well, there is a little bit of controversy, a little bit of maybe la mana negra, something going on behind the scenes because the referee was being picked by uh Atlas's brother, if I'm not mistaken. Like the owner of Atlas, his brother's the one that calls the shots.
Yeah, but the way you say it sounds wrong.
Oh,
No, you mean the arbitro, the head of
the head
the
of
referee commission?
uh-huh.
So he's related to someone in Atlas.
Like the brother. He's like a brother.
Yeah, and well, this goes back to last season when when they when they played America, and America had a player that was on the bench who was not registered. But
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
America removed them. They removed them from the bench for the second half. So
They
he
put him
didn't.
in the stands, I remember.
Yeah, but so then the FMF they gave America had won that game. They gave them the loss. They because of that. I don't know if Atlas
It was an ineligible
complained.
player, and they won that
I don't know if
match.
they complained though, but yeah, they gave Atlas. They reversed the decision. They gave Atlas the win with a 3-goal lead.
Yeah, three
And then
zero forfeit.
and you know that kind of opened their. They ended up after that getting their wins and going into the liguilla and winning. Uh, where it bothered me was because it affected Chivas, which they would have finished eighth. They ended up going to ninth on points. Um, but just really quick, and we did talk about this here back then. There is precedence years back when Tigres actually played 3 games. I forget the name of the player. It was a Brazilian, and they had them replay those games.
Wow.
So I did find it at least in that you know that I think America would have been, you know, if they would have had that option of just replaying the match. But I think because the player didn't play, at least a fine at the at the least. But I don't think it was to that point, and it surprised me that America didn't seem to make a big stink about it. They took the L and they went on and did their own thing. Um, and so now we're gonna see, you know,
Oh,
we're gonna see what's going on there
yeah.
because now they face Atlas, and it's sort of at this point it's kind of hard to deny that there's been some
Influence.
favoritism, yeah, and influence too for the Rojinegros.
Okay, I found it.
Oh wait,
Sorry.
wait, they're not playing. They're playing Pachuca, man. What am I? I'm thinking they're gonna play them.
Inigo
Oh man.
Riestra is his name. He's the Secretary General of the FMF, and he is the one who chooses the referees for the matches. And he is above Arturo Bricio, and he is the brother of Jose Riestra, who is the president of Atlas.
Damn. See, that's when you need the federation to be separate from the clubs because then you avoid things like that. But that's never been the case in Liga MX as long as it's been professional. Because once it became professional, it's the teams basically took over all of football. But at one point, the teams did not control the federación.
In the corporate world, this is nepotism, conflict of interest. To have a sibling kind of be in charge of something that, at the end of the day, it's the reason why Atlas are in the final. I just I get very nervous when I see a referee just give out way too many penalties. Because there's a guilty conscience there. Two of Tigres' 4 goals were from PKs. Let's not forget that. So he did give Tigres 2 PKs. But I do feel like the referee, when you do more than 1 PK in a game, you kind of want to balance it out and you'll give them the benefit of the doubt and you'll give the other team a PK. I've seen this happen multiple times. You look at any game where there was more than 1 PK, and you can kind of see that it's like a makeup call from one that was maybe not, that probably wasn't a PK. But to do that at that time, man, literally 90 something minutes in. Oh man, I mean, it was the 100th minute when he scored. I mean, and Nahuel Guzman, I've never seen this in my entire life. He started crying before he even took the PK. He was crying, bro. I'm like, what kind of 40 chess is going on right now?
He messed up against Chivas, I believe, in the first match. Yeah, he's a good keeper, but he's choked in some key moments there.
Yeah, he has, and he ended up getting a red card, lost his head, and Tigres are the second best team in the league. Ended up getting eliminated. On the other side, America and Pachuca played each other, and in that first leg, America was actually winning, and it looked like they were going to get away with a good lead, but Nicolas Ibanez tied it up with 8 minutes to spare. And in the return leg in Pachuca, it was a blowout 3-0, and the memes started pouring in. And the best team in the league has the opportunity to take the title away from Atlas. In the end, are you happy with Pachuca Atlas? Do you like this matchup?
I do, although I would have preferred. I don't know why I'm saying this. I would have preferred America. I
Same.
just think it would have made a more interesting matchup. But yeah, Pachuca, and this is what we're seeing is these are the teams that operate. They have a certain way of operating. I should say managing the clubs. Grupo Pachuca, of course, were first to do it, and then Grupo Orlegui. Because look at how successful Orlegui was with Santos Laguna. Um, they won. They were winning a championship pretty much every 3 years. Every 3 4 years, they were winning or fighting for a campeonato. Um, and with Atlas, pretty similar. It took them 2 years to win, and now you know, they could double it, right? Really quick. And it's a bit different from how we used to seeing other teams in Liga MX, how they would manage the club, how they would pretty much bring in a coach and then let the coach build a team, and then they would fire that coach mid-season or by the second season, and some other guy will come in, and it would just be a mess. Um, this is just a bit more, obviously more professional the way they go about it, to the point where it doesn't matter that much who the coach is. Because Pachuca, right, last season they weren't that good, and then all seems like all of a sudden
They turn things around.
they turned. But it's not it's not like they just turned it around. It's part of their, they follow a proceso and eventually it pays off. That's
Well,
kind of what
yeah.
it is at that point, where it's like they know which players they're gonna promote or have in the first team, or who are gonna be their key players. They know all of that. They have that that continuity and whatnot. So it's I would say way better than when it's like some guy comes in and he wants to build a squad that he likes, but then when he leaves, right, the next coach wants something else, and it's like you're starting from scratch, almost like you're kind of hitting that reset button all the time.
Pachuca's been doing a great thing, obviously, in both the men and women's side. They unfortunately lost today to Chivas in the Liga Femenil side of things, but still sign of a good and organization. You know that they're competing for chips and mostly homegrown talent as well.
Yeah, and those teams, I mean, Atlas should, in the past they've had one of the best canteras, and I think they're gonna continue working on that because Santos has a good cantera as well. So I could see them. I could see them just you know staying competitive. I mean, as long as Orlegi is there, I could see Atlas. They're gonna continue being one of the teams that are gonna be fighting year in year out. If I'm a Santos fan, I'll be a bit worried. We've joked here that Orlegi might turn them into the redheaded stepchild, or that just they're gonna put the majority of their chips in the Atlas basket, because the Atlas is just like Santos for all everything they won and how good they've done. They still didn't they're still not seen as a more as a bigger club, or more threatening, you know, very similar to sort of Pachuca as well. Even and they've been successful for a while now. They still don't get much respect. But I think Carlos, because they've been around for so well, Pachuca's been around longer. But I should say in Primera División, uh, they just have that, and I guess it's also being tied to a big city. They just so much more influential, and I could see Atlas if they maintain, even if they maintain the pace that Santos had, just becoming more popular and eventually one of the main teams, one of the considered main teams. You know.
Absolutely. It's just a bigger market in Guadalajara. And I'll be honest, even though they are, I guess, a rival for Chivas, just for the city of Guadalajara, I do like seeing a team in the final from that city. And, they are the current champions. So it's refreshing to see some consistent consistency in the league. I mean, we're talking about the best team in the league, as far as the regular season. Pachuca had the most points. They were the most consistent. And then you have the current champs. So I think it's a fair fight. And I see it pretty even. I just really hope that in the final that the gloves are off and there's no, some strings being pulled in the background. I do want it to be a clean fight.
Yeah, well, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens there. Uh, there's been rumors in the past that Pachuca has they would send gift baskets and whatnot, but I'll leave it as rumors. I think with Atlas it's pretty clear because it's obvious, it's out in the open, and so that casts that shadow over it. But in the past, we did see America would get a lot of flack. You know, I grew up hearing how they would steal campeonatos, and then if you look at what was going on, they didn't really do that. But you know the saying: you repeat something long enough, it eventually becomes true. And so I guess the only one where I wouldn't say they stole it, it just became legit was the Pro de 85 because that wasn't supposed to be a league title. It was supposed to be like a cup title. And if you look at the cups, like the league cup, that's not the one they lifted. You know, like the trophy that was given to the champion. They lifted a cup that was made just for that tournament. They weren't the only team though that did that. That turned like a mini tourney, which Mexico did for the '70 World Cup and '86 World Cup. They instead of having the league, they made like mini tourneys.
That's like
And
claiming the Copa por Mexico as a legit title for.
well, it is, but it's like saying, "Oh, it's not Copa for Mexico, it's
I know.
Copa MX,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
or no, this counts as the league.
Yeah, this
So
counts as a
just throw the star.
this counts as a
Cruz
start.
Azul, Monterrey Cruz Azul did that too. They got these titles that were meant as tournaments, and somewhere down the line, they were like, "Well, it was played," you know, like they say, "Well, we did play this instead of the league, so just just make it count, bro." And it's it's there, dude. It's on the official. I mean, there's a little asterisk. That's why they're not called league. If you see it, it'll be uh, one of them is what Mexico '85, I think. No, Pro de '85 and Mexico '86, and then I forgot what the others are called. But yeah, man, what
So where does it go from here as far as Fernando Ortiz? He was named the interim coach for America, turned things around, got them to a semi. Do you dump them? Do you kick them out to the curb? Because they weren't able to clinch a league final, or do you give him the opportunity to stay there? Has he earned his stripes?
that's where you see the liguilla, man, where the liguilla kind of messes things up, like at least the perspective of things, because it's one or two bad games, and they make it seem like you suck all of a sudden.
I mean, we were
You know,
we were on that Dick Chain train, man.
I still am, dude. I'm still the chain gang here. And if you see how dude, how Chivas played them, you know, they they put them to the test, and they're playing a much stronger team. It's not like they were even or the better team. But no, I think Ortiz has done a good job, but I don't think I don't know. I don't know. I would like to hear from the Americanistas if he convinced them. You know, they want to keep him in. They want to keep him in El Nido. Um, but I think that's when you get Liguilla and one bad night can ruin it for you, as we saw with Tigres. That 3-0 loss where had to score at least one goal, you know, things would have been looking different for them. Um, and they were at home, right? When they lost 3-0?
No, Pachuca. Pachuca.
No, no, Tigres when they lost the first game to Atlas.
Atlas.
Were they?
Atlas won at home, and then they went
Oh,
to.
they were
Yeah,
away. They were away. Yeah, still, man. Uh, no,
absolutely.
I do. I think he did enough to think. The other guy that sort of disappeared was Larcamon. He was hot sauce all the way to Liguilla, almost to the end, because then the team sort of faltered, and then nobody's talking about him anymore. But
Well,
I remember,
Larcamona secured another extension with Puebla, so he will stay there and continue his coaching career there. But I do agree that his hype and his market value, I think, had a subtle drop.
I still think he's a good coach.
He's
That's
a
the
good
thing with
coach.
Liguilla. They sort of seems to erase what you did throughout the season, and all of a sudden it's like it didn't count, or like nobody cares.
I mean, for what he did
It's
with
not
Puebla.
what have you done for me. It's what have you done for me now or lately. The saying goes.
I mean, for them to finish in fifth place, I mean that's pretty impressive. Now, they did have a really bad string of games to end the season, but still, I mean Puebla is a minnow team. They're a small club, and for him to do what they are doing with the salary restrictions and the type of talent, I mean it's impressive. But if you're out there on Twitter Spaces and you want to have a hot take or you have something to say about the semis or your predictions for the final, feel free to request to speak. Me and Joel will keep going. Um, but overall, I mean, I think in this one it's pretty even keeled. I don't know, man. I kind of want Atlas to defend their title because it's only happened twice in the short seasons. Pumas did it first, and then Leon.
And then they on that's right. And damn,
You imagine being an Atlas fan and not winning since 1951, and you come back and win two back to back? That's it, man. That's a wrap. I feel
people are
like a
happy.
Atlas fan can die happy. Can lightning strike twice? We'll see.
Yeah, no, man, no denying with this group, which Grupo Orlegui, and their goal ultimately is to go to Europe. So, and because that's what the owner has talked about, how he wants to eventually buy a team either in La Liga or in the Premier League, and then
Damn.
so I mean, who knows if
Does he
he could
have
make it
deep?
work over
Does
there.
he have deep pockets like that? Cause that's
No, I guess it would be with like a group,
yeah.
it wouldn't be just him. But then you're sort of competing with oil money, and you're looking at billion-dollar teams at this point. Uh, but who knows, man? If he could make it work, you know, doing bargain buys in South America, I don't know if that
Well,
it'll pay off over there.
I think it's unrealistic for him to own a Premier League team, but as
Or is it not unrealistic? I mean, he
it's
could own it, but
because the Prem League is a different animal, man. But in Spain, they are obviously very very desperate for some new money. Now that Mbappe has decided to stay at Paris, and a lot of money has been lost on that decision. The league itself is actually suing Mbappe for snuffing them.
they're suing PSV, no?
They're suing
I mean
PSG.
PSG, PSG,
But
man.
I mean, with the contract that they gave Mbappe, he's basically the president now. they
he's
gave
not
him
just
they gave
he's
him
just not a player.
they
He's
gave
also
him
the
full
president.
admin control, man.
That's crazy. I don't know how much I believe of that, but man, like over what's his face, Neymar. Even Messi's been a dud there, man. think they should just boot him to MLS.
Yeah, but I don't think MLS can afford Messi's salary.
Ah, they can, dude.
I don't think so, man. I don't think the league generates that kind of money, and I don't think he would be a big enough draw for like
Oh, I think he would. Dude. He'll be a bigger draw. He
like
would
for
be.
casuals to like go see Messi. I don't think he's as big.
You don't need. You don't need. There's enough. There's enough here. Football fans and people that would want to see Messi. You know, because you might not get that chance again. But
I
a lot of
would
times
do
it's
it.
not the club that pays you. You get sponsors that sort of chip in. Sort of when they brought in Beckham. You know, Galaxy wasn't paying all of his salary. You had like you know some
I've
sponsorships and whatnot chipping in.
I've seen Messi live twice. He's overrated. Now, if it was Cristiano Ronaldo, I would actually be like, all right, let me go catch him in town. You know, when he's in town. But
Ronaldo has like a rape case in Las Vegas, or accusation, I should say. He was. I don't know if that got completely settled, but I'm pretty sure that's keeping him from coming to the MLS. Yeah, that was pretty bad. And they had already settled before. I don't know if the MDA or whatever ran out, but it popped up again. And I'm pretty sure that, damn, a wild night in Vegas, dude, cost him here. He could have.
yeah, we have Chrono requesting to speak. Give me a sec, Chrono. In La Liga, another thing to celebrate is the fact that Javier Aguirre was able to save Mallorca from getting relegated. So
And his numbers are insane. I don't know if you saw his numbers because he went into the club and they had like what 6 defeats in a row.
It was pretty bad.
But I mean, you know, that's something, dude. To get a team that's been that in that type of losing streak and to turn it around, you know,
Yeah.
It kind of shows the type of coach he is. Sadly, didn't work out in Monterrey, but Cronus ready.
Chrono, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How are you doing? So I heard Messi was overrated, and I kind of had to automatically request the microphone.
So what? What's your take?
Come on. No, actually, I wanted to say another thing. Joel touched a point right now that I found to be rather interesting. Him talked about Santos and how them being in Torreon makes them not kind of this very influential team. And I just thought about the teams in Mexico City, right? Like, for example, imagine Pumas being the team in Torreon and Santos being the team in Mexico City.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Santos would definitely be called one of the grandes. Like, oh my God, Santos has won so many championships ever since the 90s, and La Cantera and all these different people and different managers, and like this just works every single time. And like I just think Ciudad de Mexico is kind of a big handicap in Liga MX, right?
What I mean for the other teams, you mean?
In general, I mean for them for fans, for the media, like in general, I think being in Mexico City just gives you that amount of respect.
Oh well, yeah.
I
I would say because that it's the population. It's so many people, so automatically you're gonna have that many more fans, and so that's you know.
I think it's exactly the same situation in London. You have Arsenal and Tottenham sort of lumping themselves and calling themselves like a big club, but it's just because it's London and it's a very popular area, very dense area. But if you were actually to look at like the numbers, like Tottenham's not a big club, but they're part of the Big Six now, and I
Yeah,
and I can see where that's coming from with like Pumas kind of using that and Cruz Azul using that as well.
And then you look at Necaxa and Atlante, and it's like, well, what happened? Like, you guys were supposed to be big teams, and you're not in Ciudad de Mexico anymore, and you're not big right now. Like how does that work?
Yeah, I think Necaxa they left they left they were like amateur era, and then they were against becoming the league turning professional. So they didn't join that, and then they came back and they tried rebranding a few times. They went to like Atlético Español or something like that, which
Yeah.
just turned away the fans. It's like, they kind of probably felt. But see, we have to think back then. A lot of the owners or the people that brought football, they were like from Spain, and that's a lot of the influence that you see in some of the teams for Atlante, like Blaugrana, color similar to Barcelona. When a lot of immigrants that had come to Mexico, but I guess it didn't work out changing the name, and then they changed it back. And I don't know, location wise, um, I think sharing the stadium with America, I think hurt them. I think they needed like their own stadium, and I think they need and we talked about this long time ago because Atlanta the same. I feel that if they would have like been in a different part of the city and then sort of like linked up with that, like made that like you know this is like Necaxa town here. I think that would have worked for them, but I think staying there, it just kind of didn't help them because they got eclipsed, or Necaxa at least got eclipsed by America and then Cruz Azul, who had this like both of those teams had these long great runs from like the what was it 70s going up until the 90s. La Máquina, and then you had Aguilas winning, and they were winning all these tournaments. Uh, but I do because if we see like Buenos Aires, if you go there, different parts are like clubs are associated to different parts of the city just because and that's kind of how they maintain some strong support is or else it would just be Boca River, which are also in Buenos Aires, but you have like a couple more clubs all there, and then they all sort of find a way to like ingrain themselves to the city.
Yeah, River's from like the rich side, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm, no, it's not that they're from the rich side. They're from where's the, they're kind of by the university. I didn't.
Yeah, they're from Nunez.
Yeah, I don't remember that neighborhood. I didn't go. They were associated with like having money at one point, so Millonarios, and then the Boca Juniors was like the immigrants, Ceneses or supposed to be Genoveses or whatever. So I mean, but see, just like that, it kind of said, you know, they were associated to their neighborhoods. So yeah, I do think like the Mexico City would be able to host more teams if they found like, si se ubican, find a spot and make it work. Which is, I think, just a good example is what LAFC did. You know, because they were sharing the stadium. Chivas USA sharing the stadium with Galaxy and Carson, and then when the LAFC ownership bought it, they were like, okay, where could we put this team that, and get fans to embrace it? And dude, they couldn't have picked a better spot, right by downtown LA, not far from the Staples, uh, right next to the university, next to Coliseum. Just key spot to be in, where the Sports Center used to be at. And from day one, they just had like a big, they did really good grassroots, and from day one they already had their barras and whatnot. and that's kind of what you have to do. Because I've always thought Liga MX would be better off if they took advantage of having more clubs in Mex City and in Guadalajara, which which is something you see in like all the big leagues. Like Jaime was saying, um, London has all these teams. Buenos Aires has all these teams. Even like Madrid has like with it, three teams, um, just on first, and then others in like second.
Yeah.
So I do feel it should have been more teams.
We have Ricardo, our number one fan, in the YouTube chat saying, "Greetings, gentlemen. America will rise again. Nobody cares about Pachuca or Santos. Their feeder teams to El Más Grande." And
Yeah, I don't know.
he says that he wants Fernando Ortiz to stay, but Baños has to leave.
Yeah, bathrooms, man. That guy surprised me how he was like Piojo's assistant, and then the next day he's his boss.
Chrono, I have a question for you. I see your bio. You're a Tigres fan. So, how did you handle that tough loss against Atlas?
It was a very bizarre situation. I was actually at the game. I'm from Monterrey, so
Oh,
so
nice.
it was like the happiest day in my life, and then all of a sudden it was just the worst day in my life. It was incredible. I exactly. I came into the game feeling completely lost. I just wanted to have fun, right? I just wanted to be with my family, watch the game and everything. And then, as the first goal from Quiñones was scored, and I was like, okay, I mean, this is over. There's no way, not even Barcelona can make this happen, right? But I mean, we have Gignac, which is kind of our, maybe you can call him overrated, but I'll call him our Messi. And it was incredible. It was one of the best experiences I've had in a stadium. And then to have the ride back home and reading all these tweets about Piojo Herrera messing up the lineup, and I felt dead inside. Like this doesn't even count.
Yeah, I think the whole lineup was, to me, is like misdirection so that no one's gonna talk about that penalty. The controversy is now on the lineup.
So what was
So
the situation? He fielded an ineligible player.
No.
yeah, the second half was started with 9 players no formados in Mexico,
Yeah.
and that's against the law, the el
Yeah.
reglamento. So there's actually information. You know how Nahuel cried before the penalty?
Yeah.
Apparently, the ref told Nahuel about the entire situation, so he kind of just knew that they were already out of the semifinal, and he started crying, just bawling his eyes out. It was insane, and nobody in the stadium knew what was going on. So
That makes
we
sense.
we didn't know what was going on. We thought Nahuel was trying to play mind games with Aldo Rocha, and we were kind of laughing about it. It was very weird.
Yeah, it was weird. I wasn't able to catch the game live, but I was watching the highlights and like just to see that reaction, I'm like, he's either like playing the victim here and getting in Rocha's head, or I don't know, man. He was all over the place, but that's incredible that you were able to experience that live. I don't know how I'd be able to handle that, like to see that kind of um that type of like mood swing happen, like just mentally being checked out like 4-0, like this is done, and then to see the comeback, it's like what an incredible time. And then just the way it ended, was it really like dead quiet after he scored that goal?
1,000%. 1,000%. There was a brief moment after the fourth goal that I legitimately thought the stadium was gonna fall down. Like it was, just, like it was shaking. It was insane. Then the penalty was called, even worse with VAR. and we were kind of expecting them not to call the penalty, but after they called it and he scored, it was just silence. It was like I cannot say anything otherwise. Exactly.
It's a tough way to go, but boy, you guys better build that statue of Gignac. Holy shit, man. That guy,
Well, he is their all-time leading goal scorer, so he's he's earned that statue, man.
I hope his kid plays for La Selección.
Wait, was he even born in Mexico?
I don't know.
Or it
I'm sure
doesn't
he.
matter.
I'm sure he.
Yeah, he was born in Monterrey, so we're kind of expecting him to be the next number 10.
Well, Chrono, thank you for hopping on and giving us that perspective. How do you feel about next season? Do you like Piojo? Do you want him to stay?
So I like him. I think he was a very good choice after Tuca, and I believe his contract expires next summer. So, with that being said, there's two ligas left for him to play and a Conca Champions. So, if he doesn't win one out of those three, I don't know. I don't see the management extending his contract. Like I just don't see that happening.
Yeah,
But
that makes sense. That makes sense if he doesn't win anything, because I think Tigres is already. I know they get a lot of flack, and I want to ask you as a Tigres fan, because I know they do a lot of memes about they don't they don't say Tigres is a equipo grande,
yeah,
and I feel that they are already, especially going back like 10 years, how long they've been, just staying in the forefront of winning campeonatos and whatnot, and I think if they just maintain that, eventually they're gonna catch up or even surpass the other teams. Of course, it could be 10 years, but they're doing it now, so it's not like you know.
hopefully. So me personally, like at first, a couple of years ago, a lot of Tigres fans, we were all like, yeah, like El Quinto Grande, and we're here to stay, and this and that. But all these years later, personally, I feel like we should embrace that nickname. Like, I, I have no problem calling my team Equipo Chico. Like, I actually like it.
you you don't want what comes with it. the No, I think because you know when we look at what the big teams do, and it's like they bring in top players. You know, back back when I started watching Liga MX, and you heard of Contratación Bomba, it was pretty much 80% of the time going to America. They'll bring someone like Ivan Bam Bam Zamorano, Piojo Lopez. You saw just these big names, and I think probably the biggest since Ronaldinho, which sort of was a weird thing. It's kind of, Club de Cuervos esque, going to Querétaro. But I mean, Gignac, I don't think there's been a bigger name or Contratación Bomba to Liga MX. And just their overall squad, just how the strength of their squad, of how many good players they have, even in the bench. They'll have players that in other teams would be starters. And so, you know, being able to have a plantilla that's that expensive, and to hold on to it for so long, and not only that, but winning all these tournaments and different tournaments, to me that at that point, because I do think if we see different leagues, for the most part, it'll change who the big teams are. You know, there's some like maybe like La Liga where it's always been Real Madrid, Barcelona. But if you look at Premier League, it changed a lot from like the '90s where teams ended up coming up like Manchester United, and then even just recently Man City. So these things change all the time. So I could see the two Monterrey teams, Tigres and Rayados. I could see them in a few years. I don't think people are going to be able to deny it.
Yeah, and I think it benefits the entire league. Like
Oh, yeah, obviously, yeah.
elevating other teams, I think it's great for everyone. So, for example, after Guignac came to Mexico, you had all these different guys like Jeremy Menez and Vincent Janssen and Fidalgo and like all these different big caliber players that maybe they're gonna work, maybe they're not gonna work, but at least they're trying and they're putting in the money. And right now, when you said contratación bomba, I just started thinking about it. And 10 years ago, our contratación bomba were guys like Tito Villa, Omar Bravo, which were good players, but like they're nowhere near that caliber and the expectations when you get someone like Florian Thauvin.
Yeah.
So I think it like that just shows you how much the league has grown, which is great for everyone.
Yeah, no, I've said here before because the companies that are tied to Tigres and Monterrey, FEMSA and Cemex, just how much money they generate. And I've said before, if they wanted to, they would make even stronger teams. I sometimes I don't know, like maybe they're taking pity on the rest of us, but if they wanted to, they definitely have that money.
Yeah, they
Well,
do.
yeah, but then you got freaking Romario in Pachuca, like just beating everyone else, and Florian Thauvin getting injured, and I don't know. This league is crazy. It's like the things that are supposed to happen don't happen,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
And it's refreshing to see in a world of modern football where the one with the biggest paycheck is winning. You know, you look at Man City and sort of what they've been able to fabricate in the last 10 years. I mean, that whole culture there, it's not, in my opinion, it's not authentic. It's very a lot of bandwagoners, a lot of people have switched sides and now they're rooting for City. That were never like City was a joke before the money came in, and you look at teams like PSG as well. Um, so it's just nice to see in Liga MX you have teams like Atlas winning. You have smaller clubs with a fair shake, fair chance. Ricardo says this guy is right. Tigres is an eterno chiquito.
Ricardo Contreras, man, he likes to. He's
Hey,
always
I got no problem with that. No problem with that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes for Tigres next season. I will say, Piojo is always a liability. He's a loose cannon, and he has a tendency to get in his own way. So I'll be shocked if he does fulfill his contract at Tigres.
Oh, I actually I could see him winning one of those tournaments. I don't know if they would hold on to him just because I think Tigres can, if they want to bring in a big name coach.
So at the very least, we're gonna have fun, right? Like that. That's
Oh
just
yeah,
Yeah,
that's a given.
absolutely.
So thanks for coming down, guys.
Yeah, thank
oh
you
no,
for hopping on,
yeah,
man. It
thank
was a
you.
pleasure.
Yeah,
There you have it, folks. Twitter Spaces. Anybody can hop on. If you have any hot takes, I want to know what you guys think. Who's gonna win the final? Um, again, I'm rooting for Atlas. I think that they have a good chance to get in the bicampeonato. Joel, are you leaning more towards Atlas or Pachuca?
damn, I don't know, man. I don't really, you know, I don't like. There's not. I don't really have like a favorite. Even though I agree with you about what it would mean for like the rivalry with Chivas. I think Atlas winning it starts putting more pressure. You know,
How
um,
many how many titles does Pachuca have? 7, 6?
damn. Let me see.
Jamie,
And
can you pull that up?
it started winning with 99, like in 99 with was it Aguirre that won their first? I think it was right. Was it Aguirre who won their first?
I think they have 5, 6. They have 6.
Six. So this could be their seventh.
Yeah, I rather have Atlas win another one because that would put them at 3.
Oh, you don't want the other teams to catch up.
Nah,
See what?
I
They're gonna get surpassed eventually, man.
I have more animosity towards Pachuca than I do Atlas, if I'm being honest. Just be,
Oh, that's
just because of the ways we've lost to them over the years, I have a bitter taste in my mouth. But yeah, they have six,
six, man.
and they it's because it's confusing because they put the gold stars, but those are for the Conca champions. They have five of those.
Yeah, they won it in '99, so not that bad, man. Five, six campeonatos since 1999,
and
and one from South America, right?
and they're one of the oldest clubs.
They claim the oldest, although there's, is it Orizaba? There's another team that could lay claim to it, but it's really hard because I should say really difficult. Porque ya me albureé. Um, there wasn't that much. They wouldn't document stuff as much, you know, and and who knows if stuff got lost during
Yeah,
the Mexican Civil War, la Revolución, you know. So that's the other thing, you know, if a lot of documents got lost. But yeah, you did. I think the Pachuca was mining town for the English, but I think I don't know if Orizaba, if I'm getting the names mixed up, but it could have been like from the port, which again would also probably be the English. Brother Ron had the info on that, but we haven't seen him. I haven't seen him all day. I don't know if he said Long Johns.
immigrant miners from Cornwall founded Pachuca Athletic Club in 1901.
No, but I think like have you seen Orizaba?
The game rapidly spread in popularity, and other clubs soon were established in surrounding states, including Albinegros de Orizaba, Reforma AC, British Club, and Puebla AC.
See, look, they claim they were founded in 1898.
Oh,
You know what I mean? But we have to keep in mind a lot of these were clubs,
yeah.
and so club men they practice different sports.
Puebla Athletic Club was founded in 1894.
1894. Then so this one is just as pretty much as old. But so then it's like okay, so who started kicking a round ball first? And it's Orizaba by the
And they only lasted a couple years. They folded after 1906.
who did?
Puebla Athletic Club.
Oh, Puebla. Yeah.
It's very interesting. The city of Puebla would not see football for 8 years until 1915 when the first Puebla FC.
Look, Orizaba. See, this is a thing when soccer came to the Americas, so it was brought by the British because they were doing a lot of and it arrived through the ports. So that's when you see some of the older clubs. That's where they're at, like where the ships would port, and it would be like docking and whatnot. And so it's sort of like River Plate, right? They're by the they're not that far off from the port as is in Boca Juniors, and how they get the name River Plate because they saw the boxes that were marked. That's where they were going to Rio de la Plata, but in English is the River Plate.
Oh.
And so there's like that sounds cool. Let's just call ourselves River Plate. Uh, but sort of like that. And Orizabal is actually in the state of Veracruz. So
Yeah.
whatever company had there, I would, you know, I would bet they were probably the first ones. But again, because a lot of documentation was lost. But I don't. I think how long ago was it Pachuca started like making that push as the oldest club? Because that's the other thing that we talked about. You know, same as Santos because they're in a small like like in a venue, it's gonna be hard for them to become that much more popular. Um,
Yeah.
so they've tried, man. We can't blame them for trying. They called themselves El Equipo de Mexico for a while, and now they're the oldest. But I would like to see more digging on this Orizaba.
We have Ricardo wanting to speak. Ricardo, welcome to the show.
It's about time, man.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Hey, gentlemen, how's it going?
It's very good, man.
Long time listener since you guys were the, what's it called? The Dos a Cero
Dos a
podcast?
cero.
That's right. It was. I had originally named the podcast Cachirules. There's a lot of people that didn't get the reference. And then Ron wanted to switch it to Dos a Cero. I never liked that name. And then, like, a few months in, that's when Mexico gets that win. They get a 2-1 win, I think it was.
Yeah, 2-1 with
they broke.
Rafa.
Yeah, they broke it. They broke that thing, and we had to switch. We switched name again, because then Dos a Cero would no longer makes much sense.
What you got for us, Ricardo?
Well, you guys should have just called it the Chivas podcast. That's all you guys talk about.
Excitement, man. I'm just a big fan, dude.
I tried to.
No.
I try not to, but we always end up falling in that topic one way or another.
I talked a lot about America earlier.
I mean, how do you guys feel about Atlas is about to possibly win the bicampeonato? Something Chivas hasn't come close to doing almost ever. Can you guys talk about campeonísimo this and that, right?
No, I don't. But my Chilla hermanos do. They're living in the past.
I mean, Atlas bodied you guys.
Honestly,
the Nervo, what's that? Santa Maria. I mean, you guys couldn't do anything, and that's one of my gripes with one of your hot takes, Juancito. The Mexican player needs to go to Europe, man. In Mexico, they're always getting tacos and all that other bullshit, and they're malnourished. I remember on Twitter there's a picture that who was it? Charlie Rodriguez, or I don't know who it was, one of the midfielders for Mexico, and he was like on a boat and he looks malnourished. I'm like, how is this guy supposed to represent Mexico in the World Cup against, let's say they are playing Argentina? How is he gonna body up what's his name, De Paul or one of their other big midfielders? I mean, that's my take on it.
Con some takis and some chicharrones and.
I do feel that's lacking. The professionalism of the Mexican player is lacking a big part, because they make so much money that you'll have someone like Chofis, where it's like
Chofi.
and because no, he had those like a run of three. He had like a run of 3 good games, and all of a sudden everyone's blowing smoke up his ass.
Mm-hmm.
He got like this big contract, and he made all this money, and he was from very humble beginnings. But all of a sudden, it's like he doesn't care, because he probably has it made already. He probably has a big house. He probably owns an Oxxo. He's soccer now just became like a pastime, and you see him doing stuff where when Chivas, they went on a spending spree and they bring in like 4 refuerzos, and you think this is gonna light a fire in his ass, and he's gonna want to become more competitive, because if the team's more competitive, he could get to the national team or they could win something. But then he shows up to preseason like overweight.
La Chonquis.
And it's like
I've seen a picture of him in one of those when he was still with Chivas, and he looked obese. His face was humongous, and I don't know. And also, I listen to like other podcasts, but like specifically from Mexico, and about like they're talking about like the transfers and this and that, and they were mentioning your boy Alexis Vegas contract. They put like a fat clause in it, like he can't weigh a certain like over a certain amount, or he can't be a certain amount of body mass or
Body
something
fat.
like that. I
Yeah.
mean, exactly. And that just goes to my point. Like these guys aren't professional, so
No, they're not.
um, anytime I'm never holding my breath during the World Cup. I'm always holding my breath during the World Cup because I know anytime we play against a bigger, stronger team, they're gonna body us
Sweden.
Sweden did,
Yeah,
and
Sweden. Yeah.
they're all over us. And I saw that coming a mile away. I'm like, these guys aren't ready for them.
I would say the word that you're looking for is discipline. I think that they don't take
Sure,
their profession, like they don't have the discipline. You know, you look at Cristiano Ronaldo's regimen and even how he like raises his son, you know, not to eat chips and drink soda, and like it just
exactly.
he's taking it serious, and he's disciplined. And the Mexican player gets paid well, and you know, I think like they settle
Or
very easily.
or take Linus for example. I know you guys hate on him. I don't know why. I mean, he won a he won the Copa del Rey with Betis,
Playing what, left bench?
and you guys were championing Chicharito when they sent his ass to MLS, like in the middle of the tournament, and they sent him some some type of medal or something, and you guys were talking about that, but that's a conversation for another day. But I mean,
I thought it was funny
what
that
my
they gave him a medal for the 6 months that he was at Sevilla.
exactly yes.
I thought it was funny.
Well, it's similar, but my point is, I mean, just take note of Linez. I mean, he's over there, and you get when he comes back during
Well,
that Nations League, his body transformed like dramatically. It's night and day compared to when he was with America.
oh yeah, he looked yoked, but it's also an illusion because he was just wearing an extra small shirt.
Sure, of course.
But I just think like you know he's almost 3 years in over there, and like what has he accomplished? He's
No,
gotten
you're right. I'm
yeah.
trolling. You're right,
I
but
like
but
I can't imagine what his transformation as a professional would be if he had stayed at America and gotten, you know, undisputed starting minutes for like at least another 2 3 years. I just wonder where his progression would be as a professional, and as the national team as well. I'm sure he would be a much he could have been a starter by now, but we don't know.
yeah, you're right. You're right. He he definitely needed to stay like another year or two, but I mean, America's el más grande, as I always say on the comments, but you guys never read them out,
Yeah, they're so
and
good that
we
they
got
walked
robbed.
out.
We got robbed.
Yeah. Why would you say that?
Uh, Ibanez should have been got red carded like in the 20th minute, and they had the same example, the Paco Villa and the El Bam Bam, who El was mentioning earlier. He was even referencing the Atlas game against the Tigres, how or was it the Chivas game against the Atlas where Jeremy Marquez it was kind of similar the fouls and he got red card and Ibanez got a yellow card.
Yeah.
I mean that's another topic. I mean the refs are all over the place.
Very inconsistent, absolutely. But at the end of the day, you guys ate 3 goals with no response, so trying to figure that.
Yeah. No, but you guys didn't. I mean, you guys. Well, Joel did, but Jaime, you didn't answer. You didn't answer my question.
Which one?
Atlas is on its way to win the bicampeonato. Something Chivas hasn't even come close to doing. Those Stone Age titles don't count. We're talking 80s onwards. That's where we count. When people actually started training. Like, what do you got to say to that?
I've said it. I already said that. I hope that they do win. I do hope that they win, and you know, I hope that like.
Is that who you're picking?
Yeah, I'm picking Atlas. I want them to win. I just want to see some consistency in the league. You know, I want to see a team that wins a title and then defends it. I think like we see it time and time again where the champion gets campeonitis and the next season they don't even qualify for Liga. So I would like to see some consistency in Liga MX. Um, but I think it would be great for the city of Guadalajara and also to light a fire under Mauri's ass because today during uh, the celebrations for Chivas Femenil, they handed him the trophy and he was doing the walk around the stadium and all the fans were booing him. So it's like, I want that to be
You
known.
watched that, Jaime?
Unfortunately, I did. Yeah, it was pretty.
Oh, come on, man.
It was.
How you gonna watch what?
It was tough
Never
to
mind.
watch, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Cole, did you watch it?
He doesn't watch games.
He only watches when Chivas wins, right?
Oh, he got booted out. Hold on. Joel.
I'm back.
Oh,
My phone died.
your mic
My
sounds
phone died.
sounds pretty bad though.
All right, hold on.
You're getting some interference. They're tapping your phone, bro.
Hello, what about now?
Yeah, it still has like that interference. Are you near like a microwave?
Microwave? No.
Oh.
It's still bad.
Yeah.
It sounds like the. Well, I need to call out Joel on his MLS love too, because that's not making any sense to me.
Yeah, dude.
Hello?
Definitely call him out.
Still bad?
No, it sounds good now.
I had to switch.
But
okay.
Ricardo's calling you out on your bullshit, man.
My boy.
That your MLS take, I can't agree with it, man. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
All the
money-wise.
arguments, money, of course. That's what those scumbags from scumbag Liga MX owners want. I get that. But for like you mentioned, MLS will give younger players a chance to like. I understand your take where these guys don't have that much education, so they go for the money and this and that. I get that part, but as a fan, what I want to see is competitive football, right? So I don't get how Jairo Torres going to Chicago Fire makes Mexican football any better, or gives him a chance to go to Europe or to contribute in any way to the selección. Like I don't see any.
Well, there's a few things here. So one is like if you're a youth, and it's like so it was what was this guy Salcedo, right?
Which one?
Carlos Salcedo.
Carlos Salcedo. Carlos Salcedo.
The one that's in Toronto.
Salcedo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He returned, but as a youth, he was at Chivas. Then he went to Tigres, and then he sort of saw I'm not gonna get a chance to play, and he jumped to Real Salt Lake, and he was actually being scouted to go to Europe, and then they took him to Chivas. They returned him to Chivas, which is De La Torre, with when they took him, they gave him that release clause because that's how they convinced. He ended up there. He had that unfortunate stuff happen with his wife. Hopefully I'm not forgetting. Right, I think his wife had a miscarriage when they was in Italy. Pretty sure that's him. So he came back to Tigres, but I mean, that's someone that as a youth, he took a risk there and he went. And so as youth players, if you're going to get playing time, I would push for that because that's more important to get playing time
than
to not get playing time. If you could go to Europe and then not play ever, and then what was the point of going over there? You just sent you to section teams, and then kind of what they did with Avila, right? When they took him, Chelsea took. It just.
Joel, you're cutting in and out, bro. You're
Oh, that sounds cool though, man. RoboCop, RoboCop getting beat. It's
Well,
when they're killing him.
I get what you're trying to say, but I think Salcedo's like the worst example you could have brought up. This is the same guy that a female reporter from Chivas was talking to him when he was back in Tigres. They were having like a off the record conversation, and she said that he told her that he came back to Liga MX because he couldn't because when he was in Italy there was nothing when he was after Italy. Well, didn't he go to Germany, right, to some German team, like mid-table German team?
Frankfurt.
Yeah, or one of them. But he told her that he came back to Liga MX because there wasn't anything to do over there, like not like party wise, night wise, social wise. That just comes back to my point. These guys aren't professional. Like, and by going, I don't get how they get professional by going to MLS.
Well, I mean, maybe not become, but he did have a career in football, which is very difficult to have.
Sure, of course.
Very few players are gonna make it as a professional, and then even less are gonna get to like be in the national team or
But he
even
was already
go
over
to
there.
Europe and come back. No, I know, but the fact that he got to do all of that, I think if he would have stayed at Tigres and then Tuca benches him and then he would have debuted at 24, 25, his career probably would not be what it is now. Um, so, I mean, career wise, I think just being in a league where you're going to be able to play and like desarrollarte is better than not just not
But
playing.
at the same time, I think these guys, there's a narrative for whatever reason in Liga MX and the fans and certain teams. Same with me, like Jaime mentioned with Lainez, like he probably should have stayed. But I think these guys, they make a lot of excuses for these guys in Mexico. Like I'm not trying to compare Mexico to Italy, Spain, or like big soccer big like talented player producing countries. But these guys are debuting 20 and above, and these other guys, Holland, he was a pro at 16. I'm not saying we have anyone like that, but I mean, these guys, they get the benefit of that all the time. When are we going to produce someone at that age that's going to take off without excuses? Where's our next Rafa? Where's our next Hugo? Where's our next someone like that? At the end of the day, you're only winning if you got talent.
His
That's
name is
true.
Marcelo
Well,
Flores.
Yeah, my boy Marcelo, but that guy that was hating.
19 already. No, you know what I think? I would say that's more to do with the culture, the football culture in Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
and I do think it.
Bro,
I
we're
do
still
think
living at our mom's house at 18, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, but I mean, but the football culture, like where the expectations, like Ricardo was saying, and I do think in Mex the culture sort of went sideways somewhere where it's like in Mex they will sign a player like any petardo from South America, and the fans will go celebrate him.
exactly.
And he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything yet, and they're already getting autographos and whatnot. And in other teams, it's like the knives are out. There's all this pressure for him to succeed and win over the fans. And here's kind of the opposite, where it's like they're just happy to have him. Or at least that was for like a long time. But it kind of still happens where I think what was it Gullit, right? He'll be at Leon, and if he could have a shit match, it didn't matter. He'll be out at the club, and the fans were go have drinks with him, and we're kind of seeing it now where even though I kind of don't agree with it 100%, but we did see fans attacking the players. Well, not attacking them, but hunting them down. What was it? The Monterrey fans, waiting outside.
Oh yeah, man. After
Trying to,
they embarrassed themselves in the Club World Cup.
and didn't they do that to Chivas
Chivas.
too, right? They were outside of their hotel and all the fans went. And
Yep.
you kind of need that pressure, perhaps not to that level, but you kind of do need where the fans are like letting you know that they're paying attention and that they're not happy with. And I think for a long time we kind of didn't see that. As Carlos said, there's always some excuse.
And I feel like we
And
make
that
excuses for players that are riding the bench in Europe, with
sure, yeah.
with Chucky, Linus. We always have a list of excuses as to like, oh well, the coach that brought him in, he got fired and now
Hmm.
he's not part of the pro. But it's like, yo, if you're good, you're good. You're gonna play. You're gonna start. And I don't know, man. I just feel like we shouldn't have to be so ready to send the next player to Europe so quickly because a lot of the times it's premature. I mean, very few players have the mentality to actually succeed out there. I do believe that they're talented enough to do it. It's just I think the mindset is not the same. And I think a player like Alexis Vega, for example, he's gonna go to Europe. He's coming over here thinking he's hot shit and he's got the biggest ass in Liga MX. But then when he goes to like
Not at all.
Europe and he's a nobody over there, and I don't know if
Hmm.
he has the discipline and the professionalism to hang out there. The talent's there, but over there they take it very seriously, and now he's gonna be in an area where he's not the best player, and I don't know. I think like a lot of players have a really hard time swallowing their pride and
But
going to work.
I would say it depends how you go because if a club pays good money, for the most part, they'll try to make it work. And also, if you have like a good agent, we saw with Raul Jimenez, where he was at Atletico, and we would have all
Flop.
said yeah, that he's. But imagine if we would have came back to Tigres, we would have seen his talent as being like whack, not overrated. And but he had good representative. He ended up going to Portugal and then doing good enough to end up in Premier League where he blew up. Uh, and so like if you have that where you get enough chance, I do think more players would look good because a lot of them that went and then came back, they didn't get much of a chance. Borghetti, Palencia, a couple of
Hmm.
them, and especially because they will go as loan, and the club didn't care because you're on a loan.
Then we'll see too, right?
Yeah, but I think he left as a youth. Where you go? I don't. You're going far back, man. you, you're going
or
back to
or
like '80s.
perfect example. What's his name? The tranny lover. Was that guy that played for Chivas? El
Salcido.
Salcido,
Salcido.
El Pelon.
Damn,
There's that
he
interview
did
that
good
he's.
though.
No, yeah, he did good. Yeah, you're right. No, I'm just saying that when he was there, he was saying that when he just got there, he felt like sick, like he didn't know how to communicate with
He
anyone or
did.
the food that, and that he
He
wanted to come
wanted
back
to
already.
leave. He
Yeah.
wanted to leave. So he gets to the airport. He gets out of the plane, and he was looking for someone, a club representative, that was gonna pick him up, and they weren't there, and he like got scared. So he didn't know how
Hmm.
to communicate, and I think he said he just went to eat at a McDonald's because he could just like order by number or something,
Hmm.
and then they had sent some Peruvian or some dude that they had, so I think that dude just went late, probably laying
It's probably
pipe. I don't know what he
Farfan,
was
no?
doing. I think it was, and then he finally showed up, but he said he was already thinking like, oh, and that's crazy, like not knowing what to do, like don't you have a number? And just do you have a number you could call? He's like a little kid, he did come across as a little kid, and this is another dude because he was like very poor, used to work just he just
He
did
used to
like
wash cars, right, for a living.
yeah, I believe so, and but he was to the point poor to the point where even being at Chivas, he still wanted to go back to work. Like he was gonna leave so he could go back to his job, and he was at the juveniles, and
Isn't
it's
that
like
a little bit tribunero? So you think, Joel? I
tribunero.
mean, yeah, I mean, they're trying to pander to that old low class people. This That's my big gripe with Chivas. Like I don't like that. Like you gotta, if you're a soccer player, you gotta be a pro, man. Eat right, train, stop making
No,
excuses. Try like, and I'm sorry to say, I think you're making excuses for him, Joel.
I'm not making. I'm just saying like, you kind of see where he came from, that where his mentality was at because he probably had never traveled. So I mean, he's scared. But I'm saying even when he was about to be pro, he was gonna go back to work. Real talks about he made it so the club could pay him or give him more money because it was probably his family putting pressure like hey, we need to eat. And it's it goes back to the lack of professionalism. Saw that a lot in Brazil, where
Mm-hmm.
they end up hiring psychiatrists and whatnot, like team therapists and whatnot to help with the players because it's they just weren't prepared for a lot of these things because to us it looks simple, but I mean,
Yeah, they're
take
human beings.
someone with like no education and whatnot, and you're putting them in all these different environments. They feel out of place. So I mean, I'm not making an excuse because he's at Chivas. It'll be like basically any player, and it happens to a lot of players too, even in South America. We just don't hear about them, and
Yeah.
a lot of these guys they flop because it's hundreds and hundreds of players that go all the time.
Oh, yeah. There's a bunch of RGs and Brazilians all over the place. Right about that.
Yeah,
Robinho.
yeah.
Exactly. I was about to mention him.
But
Scrub,
Robinho
that
was
guy.
actually a big name. He actually succeeded in Brazil. Um, I mean, the players that went,
Adriano.
because that's another big guy. But I mean, guys that like
Yeah,
you
he
kind of
was a
think,
drunk.
Nery Castillo.
no,
Hey,
man,
now, hey,
players that you don't know the names.
Jaime,
We
chill.
wouldn't know.
Nettie, come on. If we had another point I wanted to bring up, man, we need to stop focusing on these pochos. I mean, yeah, I'm a pocho too, but these guys, none of them have showed anywhere near the talent that Mexico should have scouted. I mean, that someone Mexico should go for, like Nettie. Like when you seen him play, like you can tell he's a difference maker. None of these pochos that they're trying to fight. You see all these Twitter pages, next gen, this and that. None of these guys are making a difference for their team. None of them have that. I'm not saying all of them should be a star or know how to dribble past 10 people, but none of them have that it factor to change to make a difference. So I don't get why these people are making a big deal about them.
Because
Ooh,
you're
Ricardo
bound to
Pepe's gonna
get
hop
one.
on. He's gonna be pissed.
You're bound to get one. So I mean,
And then it's 20.
but I mean,
But
we
how long
went
have we
we,
been
we
saying
went
that, Hoyle?
from almost none to a lot of them players like being in U.S. and Mex national team or having long careers. Now, I agree with you. There hasn't been one that's been a difference maker
Yet.
or at that other level.
Who would you say
But who's
has been the most successful one? If I had to put a name out there, Hercules Gomez. I mean,
well,
he
you
came
have
to the
Successful in
U.S.
terms of like just what
as a
popularity?
player. No, as
Bocanegra,
a
right?
career, as a
You got
player.
Carlos Bocanegra.
What would success
I would say
be?
Hercules.
Like going to a World Cup, being a actual contribution to?
Sure.
Because like I don't
Well,
know,
Hercules Gomez did all that.
I can't
He won a
really.
World Cup. He won in Mexico.
For me, it's like
I'm
like
talking Pocho specifically.
yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I think, and we've said this on the pod time and time again. Like till this day, there hasn't been a player that we missed out on that we're
Mhm.
actually, oh my god, like we're hurting from that. Ricardo Pepe, it looked like he was gonna blow up, and it turns out he's
MLS. He was an MLS hype job,
yeah,
and I
but
called it from a mile away.
he went to Germany. That's
You-
good.
if you score more than 10 goals in MLS, you're just an MLS All Star. Look at Trophies. Look at your boy Chicharito, and look
Carlitos
look at all
Vela.
these, exactly. You see that guy that scrub that from Chivas, that bench warmer of Cisneros. He's looking like Ronaldo in the '90s, man. I mean, at Atlanta,
You even had
he's all over the place.
you had Cubo Torres look like an all-star out there too.
Look, I live in Houston. When he was when he was playing for the Dynamo, they were making such a spectacle. Oh, we got this stuff, but they still hand out tickets for free because the MLS, obviously, right? But you should have seen the spectacle they were making, but they never won anything. And notice I remember specifically when they called him up to the Gold Cup with Osorio, I think he didn't do anything. That's the year that Jamaica knocked us out. I don't know if you guys remember that. It was like a free kick, and Jamaica knocked us out of the Gold Cup before it was like the Super Moleto Gold Cup, and not even it was like the C team that went, and that's why they called Cuba up.
I think I kind of remember that vaguely, but yeah, I mean, it's
And they gave him a chance, and he didn't do anything.
yeah,
MLS All Star.
yeah.
That's my gripe with Joel because he's always hyping up MLS.
I think
It's
the
the meal
Mexican.
ticket.
I think the Mexican Federation though is seeing the market value with pochos like Julian
Oh, of course.
Araujo and who's the one that plays for Galaxy, the Efrain Alvarez,
And
and
there's the Cisniega, the goalkeeper.
and now you have David Ochoa, who, did he get called up or something? I think he did for the Nations League. So I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting to see this dynamic in play. But yeah,
because it's like you said, Jaime. The money's here,
yeah,
and so soccer is business first, sports second. It costs money to field the team, to have the stadium and whatnot. So without money,
That's why FMF sold its soul to the U.S. to Zoom, right?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't say they sold the soul, man.
but some
what
didn't
else would you
some
call it?
Because their contract is for them to promote or to do the games in the U.S. And if we looked in the past, that FMF had some of the other companies. I know one of them was Soccer 2000, and they basically just stayed at the Coliseum. They never really left that much. They played like 80% of the games at the Coliseum, and then a few in like Chicago, and then maybe Dallas. Uh, they raked it in once they went to some, as far as playing all over the U.S. and even getting more sponsors.
and some just recently got an extension with La Selección Mexicana,
I've seen that.
and the U.S. didn't. Makes no sense.
I'm glad you brought that up, Jaime. I'm very glad you brought that up because all these USA fans, these geek USA fans that just show up whenever USA is playing Mexico, like they hype up these American players, like these US. Well, we're all American, but these USA players, like Dest, he's black. Chicote Calderon. That sergeant guy, he looks like Chucky. He can't score a goal to save his life. Pulisic, he disappears in every big game until he's playing Mexico, in the U.S., in Ohio or whatever. And I wanted to call so bad when back then in that Nations League game,
Yeah.
that final, that notice and they own like all these reporters, and I get they got a narrative to sell and all this and that. But you notice that game, if you really dissect that game, they only scored on us on set pieces,
They did.
which is it's always been our Achilles heel, always. And they made it out to seem like it was a baño, un baile, this and that, and it was Gio Reyna set like loose ball, like goal, fake, pull shit, penalty, and that was the other guy, that scrub from Juventus, the one that looks like the Weekend.
Oh,
I don't even know his name.
Mackenzie.
El Moreno.
Yes, Mackenzie, right?
Mackenzie.
Or McCaskill, McKenzie, whatever. That's the only way they score. Like they can't really play. They always play bunker ball, just like Chivas has played these last couple of games, but no one wants to say that. Like they always play bunker ball.
I feel like we always fall into those traps though, and it takes a great coach to know how to.
You're right.
How to
exactly.
sniff those out. And we didn't have a set piece problem under Osorio. It just came back under Tata, but under Osorio he had fixed that issue.
Yeah, that was. He had other problems though, but
He had
Oh,
other
yeah.
problems,
that wasn't one.
but
El Borracho Osorio.
yeah.
And he was trying to get the numbers from all the female reporters. That's what they were saying. But he spent more time trying to hit on the reporters than.
He was with one. He got caught.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
He took her to the World Cup. Damn, this dude was just savage. He took his wife and he took his side piece.
El
His
Padrote Osorio.
rotación. He was doing rotación to his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man, I respect the guy who practices what he preaches.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, look,
Where's Osorio at now?
he
In
was.
Colombia, isn't he?
I thought he was gonna coach America.
Yeah.
What happened to that?
Oh no, he didn't stay over there.
You don't think he would make a good club coach?
No, he already had his chance in Puebla.
He
I,
did.
He
I,
did.
I remember seeing him in Puebla. He sucked.
Yeah, but so did Reynoso, and then he goes to Cruz Azul and wins the championship with them. So
No, I disagree. Reynoso did a pretty good job at Puebla, even though he didn't win anything.
He
Obviously,
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
he right before Larcamon came, which is the next guy they're trying to hype up. I mean, he did a pretty good job.
yeah, I just feel like he had a better arsenal at Cruz Azul compared to
Well,
Puebla.
definitely, yeah, definitely.
Juan Cambios Osorio. We'll see. We'll see what happens to him. Chivas are flirting with Biesla, but
I don't know if I believe that.
You know what? It's probably smoke, but I think that's the best thing that could happen to them. Their problem, everyone knows their problem. They got a super broke owner that doesn't want to spend money, and the players suck, and no one wants to go there. So what do they need? They need a guy to build everything up like he did with Atlas. So you agree?
He leaves after like 2 years. I don't think they need someone that's gonna bounce. And he takes his playbook, he takes his videos. He doesn't leave
I mean,
anything behind, man.
No, he
Uh,
did with Atlas, so you can't deny that. Even though it was
well,
back then.
with more with Atlas, what he's most known is that
As a sporting director.
no,
the youth.
the cantera that he
Yeah.
revived. He built up their cantera and because they're the best, they played the best under La Volpe.
And
Right?
that's another guy that
He's the one
Chivas should
that,
probably look into.
and they did have him. They had him briefly.
That guy seriously underrated as like finding talent. I don't know why he's probably blackballed because for whatever reasons, but if if I was my Theo Ascarra guy, I'd hire him and get him on the youth setup and find all these kids from Mexico, man. Like the guy knows what he's good. Like he's good at what he does.
Yeah, he could spot talent. But I mean, that's been most his thing with Bielsa, where he was good at like organizing, because kind of how he got his start with Newell's Old
Mm-hmm.
Boys, and and I mean, but as coach, I don't know, man. I would
Probably, yeah,
I would
you're right.
instead,
Probably not as coach.
I would hire him as consultant. Like you want to
Yeah.
come to the club and set up the whole youth system, and you could bring your people, and it could be a project for this many years. I would do that because he has a good proven track record for that. I thought something similar was gonna happen with when they brought the Johan Cruyff, but I felt that they tried to overhaul everything from the beginning. I think they should have started like slowly built their way up, and they came and they sort of booted like half the staff over there at Chivas, people that have been there for a long time, and you have all these Dutch coaches working there. It's just, it was just disaster, man. Even Hans told him like, you have to keep some Mexicans, dude, and that thing just didn't last. Who knows what it was like?
But you know what they say, that your boy Vergara would interfere with everything.
Oh, that's
The
always
senior.
him. Yeah, he always did that, man. Yeah.
And I think that's probably like one of their main problems. Like if they would have done that to any other team, I'm pretty sure if no one interfered, I'm pretty sure they'd. Because I think like the perfect comparison would be like Mexican football. If I had to compare it to like a European version of it, I'd probably say it'd be like the Dutch version, don't you think? I mean, the Dutch soccer.
You mean like style wise or what?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, style wise, and like, I mean, anytime you send like it's apples and oranges, but every time, most of the time, we send like a player to Netherlands. For the most part, they succeed, don't you think?
Yeah, we've had a good success rate. Guardado, Moreno. You've had Salcido, Massa,
And
Chucky.
Lozano, obviously, yeah.
Yeah. And right now we're seeing Edson, Stud,
El Machín.
and Guti.
I think he's very overrated, man. I don't like how he plays.
Who? Guti?
Yeah, I think he's very overrated. I think he's just a Pachuca hype job.
Yeah. I just
He-
I
he-
like to have
he needs to be
competition
in
though.
Chivas.
What?
He needs to be in Chivas.
Well, we have a connection with PSV, so we'll see what happens with that. Not really sure what exactly they can bring to the table, because we can't buy foreign players. So this is more of PSV taking advantage of us, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, if anything, if I'm Chivas to PSV have that connection, I would I would try to overhaul like the whole youth system and kind of see
Exactly.
pattern it
Yeah.
after them. I don't know if they would do something like that. I think Leaño was the one in charge. I don't even know what happened. The club never really fired him. I don't, I don't know what's going on. He's probably still collecting a check.
And he's giving them money. Come on, man. All these reporters, they don't want to say it because they want to get
Yeah,
sued. That's what's going on there. He's giving them money.
It's
That's
true.
what.
Well, his family, the Leaño, that was just a junior that was like, I'm
Wasn't
taking
he a
over.
torero before he was a coach?
He was a lot of things going off of his Instagram. He's Maestro Albañil, Greek God. He's like,
I think that Greek God's my favorite one.
mine is the Maestro Albañil, the shirtless construction worker. Hey man,
I can't wait for
gotta like his life, dude.
I can't wait for.
Who wouldn't do what he did? Seriously.
I would
Jaime would
argue
have
that
done
with
that,
my
dude.
buddies. You're right.
Jaime would have kicked Buse in the ass and been like, all right, I got this.
I played
And
FIFA.
not
I know what I'm
admit-
doing.
Alvarez would have done what he did. I can't hate that guy too much.
Well,
He's
I
living
gotta
the
call
life.
you out. Well, I gotta call you out on your Buse love, man. That guy's a dinosaur.
Yeah,
Like, look at what happened in Monterrey. He got styled down by San Luis.
I feel well, there's no denying he hasn't been like successful in probably since he won the Copa MX with Querétaro. He hasn't really been to the point when he was at Monterrey and got the whole Rey Midas. But I would say like with what happened in Monterrey, I feel like that the locker room could be broken because I mean Aguirre couldn't even do
that
much
team
with them.
definitely
And
that team needs to be blown up. I agree with you there.
yeah, he goes to Mallorca, a team that had lost 6 straight, and he saves them from relegation. And it's like he's a hero there right now. But I think like at Chivas, and I know the fans hated him, but his numbers were good. Like if you see his numbers of like percentage and how many points he did, um, his overall numbers, and then the number of players he debuted, the number of minutes, the number of minutes he gave of. It was, and I don't have it with me. There was a list of how many canteranos he would play per game, and how many minutes they got.
I disagree there because what he did to Nene Beltran is criminal.
I was about to say
well,
that.
that's one. Hey, he can't get it all right. He's not perfect, but
obviously
overall, he did give to a lot. Like Perez, became one of the good. He gave a lot. I know he wasn't his favorite, but he did give a lot of playing time to a lot of these players. But I mean, that always happens where we see one player under one coach, he could be doing good, and then another coach comes, and then they just like they disappear.
and
Or
Beltran
they just
like he called him out, bro. Like in
Oh,
the
he
That's
did
only
after that
personal.
goal.
like like that was it obviously affected him so much.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
Vucevic turned out to be right though. In Atlas days.
In that
I mean,
game,
Rocha was all over him. Saldívar didn't let him do anything. I mean, he was right at the end of the day, though. I agree with your point, though.
he's
I like those backhanded compliments, man. We need more of that. I do
no,
want
but
to.
I think well, really quick, Jaime.
Yeah,
I do think Buse, the verdict will be on him if he stays in Monterrey and what he does next season if they allow him to, or they help him, or they build a team for him. But I do think there's been a lot of pressure on that dude. So I do think
I think he needs to
next season,
retire.
if he's still there, he.
I mean, how much more do you want him to build? Well, they got a hell of a team already.
No,
want him to
but
bring
we
Suarez?
talked about how if it's broken, if there's players that are just causing
You,
problems.
you, you think they'll get rid of that many players? I mean, it looks
Well,
like
sometimes it's just one or two, or doesn't have to be half of the squad.
I just want to know what Rodolfo Pizarro is doing to get
oh
calls.
man, that guy's such a scrub, man. I can't believe you guys hype him up, man.
Who?
He is the
Who's hyping him up, bro? No one's hyping
like
him
the,
up.
He's like the very, very slow version of Grealish from Manchester City. He's like the dummy version of him. Like
He's
he like you can see how he plays. Like he has like predictable play. He tries to play like he's fast. If you get what I'm saying.
He's a Jack Grealish Sunday pub player.
Exactly. Yes.
But
And
what he's
a legend,
doing,
but he's a legend in Chivas.
what he's doing to continue to get called up for the national team is, I need an explanation for that.
His agent.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you
boys,
think, Joel? His agent?
Yeah, that a lot of times
They got Gallardo. They got all those Monterrey guys. They're getting. I mean,
they know who to butter up.
yeah.
yeah, imaging rights is a big factor into the national team. They will be competing in the Nations League this season. And if I'm not mistaken, they do have an upcoming friendly against Nigeria this week. So we'll see how it goes for that. We're almost
That's what's killing Mexican soccer.
we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so I am gonna end this. But I do want to hear your closing thoughts, predictions for the Atlas Pachuca match. We can start with you, Ricardo.
Atlas is gonna body Pachuca. They got the big center backs. Pachuca got lucky against San Luis. They should have lost that. They got the fair calls against. They got the lucky calls against America. They robbed America. I'm not gonna deny it. They robbed America. And I think Atlas is gonna style on them once, and they're gonna win the bicampeonato. And the Chivas fans are gonna hate, but they'll never get close to it.
Joel, what you got for us?
I'm gonna say I agree with Ricardo, except for the hate. It's still 2 against 12, so they're like there's that 10 championship window there. But I do think, but I mean, regardless, I think it should be a really good matchup, like entertaining.
Yeah, so it looks like all three of us have Atlas winning this thing. We'll see what happens. You still got to play the games. Pachuca was the best team in the league as far as regular season goes. And I just hope that it's entertaining. That's all I can ask for.
The league has been entertaining so far. I mean,
it has been.
I think it's been one of the best Liguillas in a couple of years, honestly.
I agree. Yeah, especially that Tigres game. God damn, that was a great game.
But I enjoyed when Atlas beat Chivas, honestly.
Well, boys, I'm signing off for tonight. I want to thank everyone for participating in our Twitter Spaces and the YouTube chat. And let us know your predictions on Twitter, on IG, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye.